This is the Replayer Podcast. Bow. Oh, yes, I'm in studio mode, so none of that worked. It's fantastic. I'm just sitting here with dead air. Welcome to the Replayer Podcast, where I messed up the intro. What's going on, guys? This is the Replayer Podcast. This is the Replayer Podcast, a show about video games that was once about retro replay, but now we're just talking about video games. And we're listening to some video game music. We were literally just like right before we went live, we should just sit here and just jam to some video game music. Joining me tonight is Jake and Tyler. How are you guys doing tonight?
Awesome.
Hanging in there. How are you, Dan?
I am pretty good, sir. Pretty good. Tired, but good.
I feel that.
Boom. Sorry, I did a 4.5 hour long stream today, and it's taken a toll. Like, my mental energy is drained. So something to consider. Anyways, talking about Game of the Year contenders this week. I think there's pretty much a clear winner as of now, and if you had to guess, I think anyone would be able to get it out there and just be like, yeah, we know what it is. So we have a few picks. We're going to go around and we're going to talk about some of our favorite games this year so far, and some of the contenders of games that are coming out later in the year, because we don't know if any of those are going to be kind of like give the big wig right now a run for their money. If you have to guess who I'm talking about, you should see yourself out the door. I'm kidding. I don't care. It's fine. Anyways, how you guys doing? Do you want to kick us off with some discussion about just, how you feel about this year? How's 2022 treated you as a gamer?
Honestly,
yeah, go ahead, Jake.
Sorry. I mean, I'll make it pretty quick. Honestly, I'm not too impressed with the amount of games that came out this year. Like, there's a few good ones, but I don't feel like there's too many big blockbuster games like there usually is in the past few years. So I'm really hoping 2023 might bring that, but I really haven't been too impressed with this year.
Yeah, I feel much the same. I feel like I haven't been playing many of the games that have come out this year in the first place. I'm kind of dipping into the backlog a bit, and then the games that I have been playing, I feel like I've been playing a lot more indie titles, you know what I mean? Just trying to like really delve into, some smaller communities and figure that out. I haven't really touched any titles like Horizon Forbidden West or any of these big AAA titles that came out this year. So we'll see how it goes towards the end of the year, though. I mean, there are some interesting looking titles that are yet to come out in 2022.
Yeah, there's definitely, I mean, obviously there's still a lot going on as far as like games that were in development that have been postponed or pushed back. There's still a lot of studios that are citing that like COVID and working from home has added new difficulties restrictions that's making it so that it's a delay their games. But usually there seems to be kind of a cadence to like there's certain years that are just bangers, and then certain years that are kind of like lulls between things. So like 2018 had a lot of great releases. 2017 had some good ones too, and then like last year we had some really good games.
Yeah. And next year is going to be it again.
Next year's
100%.
Like the list for games for next year is kind of like super stacked, especially when how it seems more than ever games just suddenly just drop on us out of the blue, and it's like you don't know what could be the next big hit because things just kind of appear out of nowhere. I literally just read an article yesterday about a dinosaur survival MMO game that's hitting consoles next week, and I'm like, ooh, I've not heard of this, but this sounds interesting. I'm going to check that out at some point. But anyways, on to the Game of the Year contenders. Let us all say it at the same time. What is it? I'm kidding. I don't care, but
let's be real. Jake has a different first pick, but you and I have the same one. And Patrick, who unfortunately couldn't join us tonight, also had the same one. So Jake is the dissenting opinion.
I'm the oddball one.
Yeah, he's the odd one out. But Dan, if you want to kick it off and let us know what your first pick is, and also my first pick.
Yeah, I will shout out to Patrick because Patrick was going to join us tonight, but he had to cancel at the last minute. But you, myself, Patrick, all had Elden Ring as our number one. This is probably bearing the lead because that's people usually go the other way around. But we can't not start with Elden Ring, I think, because as of now, it's the only, per IGN 10 out of 10 this year. And I know a lot of us have very strong feelings about Elden Ring. I'm curious. I want to get into this with you, Tyler, because you told me right before the show that you haven't actually played that much Elden Ring.
That's right. I actually don't own the game. My brother owns the game, so I've had a little time with it. It's been one of those games where it's like, you go to a friend's house, you play it for a little bit. You know what I mean? You're hanging out with your brother, you play a little bit, whatever, right? And it's a bit of a weird game to do that with, I feel like, because of the nature of how it works. You know what I mean? Like you're building a character and all that. And if you're like jumping around different places and building different characters, you're not like fully getting that far. But Elden Ring is just one of those releases to me where, like, first of all, like the hype plays a massive factor. You know what I mean? This game was hyped up like crazy. It had like, I would say, I don't know if you'd agree with me, like No Man's Sky, like Cyberpunk levels of hype. You know what I mean? Coming out of like From Software, who's got like the list of bangers that everybody loves. I mean, like, I feel like everybody's got a game they love from FromSoft. I'm not huge into their games for the most part, and I love Bloodborne,
Bloodborne.
Yeah, and so you've got Elden Ring coming out of FromSoft, and it's matching the hype. It's, their tried and true formula in this massive open world. It looks great, and even though I haven't played much of it, I've seen a lot of it, and I have to say, I just feel like it'd be really stupid of me to say, that this is not, in my eyes, what's going to be the number one. You know what I mean? Like, at the end of the year, I think nearly everyone's going to agree that this is going to take the top spot. And I feel bad for games like Horizon Forbidden West, because it's, it's a beautiful, well-crafted AAA game, and it would probably have a shot if it were like literally any other year.
It's kind of like what happened to Horizon Forbidden, or the first Horizon, because Zelda came out at the same time, or like slightly.
Yeah. I think also within like the same month span, like similar to how it went down here. So, but 100%. Like, there's some genuinely well-crafted AAA games coming out this year, but just Elden Ring's going to blow them out of the water, I think. So, yeah.
So to hit on your hype mention, interestingly enough, I was interested in Elden Ring because it's a FromSoft game, and it's a Miyazaki game. So I was like, cool. And I did this. I went, that's going to stay over there for now. And I did that. So I didn't pay a lot of attention to Elden Ring for the longest time. And it wasn't until after the alpha beta test, the server test they did, that someone had messaged me and was like, dude, did you get a chance to play Elden Ring? And I'm like, no, I wasn't worried about playing it. I kept my hype in check. And then it was after that I went and watched like a video of this guy doing a breakdown of his experience playing the server test. And I was like, Like, oh, okay, all right,
Yeah.
like it's up there now.
Right.
But yeah, like Elden Ring, for the games that have come out this year, it's easily the game I've spent the most time in as well. Because sadly, again, like for Horizon, I bought Horizon and Elden Ring like they were really close together. They came out the same day. I don't even remember at this point.
It was definitely within the same month.
It was very close because I remember
Yeah.
playing Horizon, and within a few days, I had forgotten it existed because I was playing nothing but Elden Ring.
Yeah.
Every single
Yeah.
day, I was putting like 8 to 10 hours a day into Elden Ring. And sadly enough, I haven't beaten it yet because I'm just lost in that world. And I just taking my time. I'm enjoying it. And it's funny because it's not a narrative game. And most people don't think of like strictly action, no narrative games to win Game of the Year. But I feel like I have predictions, but we'll save that for a little later. Let's move on to Jake and what your number one is.
Okay, so I'm gonna start off. You're probably right. Both of you are probably right. Elden Ring probably will get Game of the Year. Like, I'm not denying it's a bad game or anything. Like it's a great game from what I see. I haven't played it yet. I'm not a real big Souls person. I've played Dark Souls, Bloodborne. Couldn't really get into it, but it's a great game. It's got great scores. But my game of the year, I believe, is TMNT Shredder's Revenge. Like, honestly, when that came out, I was literally 8 years old again.
Yeah.
Like, oh my goodness. Like, I was just transported back in time. Like, everything from the art style to the music, the levels, like, oh my God, just the music in general. I don't know. Like, if go on Spotify, just download this freaking playlist, listen to it. That is like a banger of a soundtrack. 6-player co-op. That's insane. I mean, like, I love that old school beat 'em up games. You don't see that very much nowadays. And I mean, honestly, like, I would love for more of those type of games to come out.
There was a little bit of a resurgence, but the few of them that have come out, I feel like weren't great. Like Streets of Rage 4 was pretty decent.
That was
And
pretty
I
good.
think that was the same studio, or at least the same publisher that did Streets of Rage 4, but that didn't click with me like TMNT. But yeah,
No.
oh my God, TMNT was so much fun to play through.
Like, the replayability in it is like endless. Like, I've already beaten it 4 or 5 times, and like I have not gotten sick of it yet.
See, now I've only played through it the once. I started it a second time, but I didn't get all the way through it. Not yet.
No, it's great, but you're probably right. It probably will be Elden Ring, but my go-to is Ninja Turtles for sure.
Yeah, if there was like a subcategory of like the best or game of the year that's like of a certain caliber, like I feel like
the thing is, it was also so unexpected because I don't know, like, I just an arcade beat 'em up style game. It's not something I would expect to see come out and be so well. And like, I think next month they have the Cowabunga collection coming out. I'm afraid I'm gonna get my hopes a little too high for that.
Well, I mean,
Coming off
it's
of
a
this,
collection of old
of like
Turtles
all the
games.
old ones, yeah.
So, what
But we'll
TMNT
see.
Shredder's Revenge though, like I can attest to that too. That I remember hearing when that game was first kind of announced. I think it was well over a year ago, if not a little less or a little more.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking like, oh snap, a new Turtles game, but in the old style. Like that's pretty cool. I like that because I love the old Turtles games. I had all of them on the NES back in the day and used to play them after school and stuff. So it was like, okay, here's hoping it's good. Here's hoping. And then as soon as like it was coming around the time of like reviews coming out and people were like, oh, it's good, it's good, it's good. And I was like, yes, like thank you.
Yeah, no, I was pretty scared going into it, and I was like, I don't want to get my hopes up. Don't want to. No, but it was wonderful.
Yeah, that's I agree. It's definitely a good game, and like I was kind of teetering because here's the issue we're going to get into too, that there hasn't been a lot of big games that have come out this year that we all are on and playing, and that's my issue is I haven't played a lot of new releases this year. So it was actually really hard for me to make a list of like what are my favorite games, that could be game of the year games. So moving on though, so my number 2 is a little game called Tunic. Because like Shredder's Revenge, it's one of those games that hits the nostalgia button like just right, but adds a new spin to it and gives it a little extra flavor. So if you don't know, Tunic's actually been in development for a long time. I've known about this game for probably about 4 years, if not longer. And it finally came out on Xbox through Game Pass. And oh my God, is it good? It's basically Legend of Zelda, old school Legend of Zelda meets a little bit of a Souls-like game in the loosest of senses, but that game does something so magical where it makes you feel so good when you discover something and when you learn something, and it does that through the use of environmental puzzles as well as a language in the game that you can't understand. And it does the cutest thing where you have a digital manual that's akin to an old manual from like the old days that you would get in the box with a game. It even has like a notes page at the back, but you only find the manual a few pages at a time. So it's like as you're finding these pages to the manual, you're unlocking things to do in the game that you didn't know you could do, but you could do them all along. And that's like the brilliance of it when like you pick up a page of a manual and it says, "Oh, do this action to complete this or to do that." And it's like, I didn't even know you could do that. Like you can do a counter parry with the dude's shield, the little fox's shield. But you don't know it until you like pick up the manual and it says you have to do this button. And it's like, oh, all right, cool. So now I've learned that. Anyways, the game is incredibly hard if you don't take your time, but it's breathtaking. It's beautiful. I don't know if either of you have played it. I know, Jake, you said you're not like a Soulsborne person, but it's not as Soulsy.
I haven't played it, but I will say I know just based off the way you described it that it does that Legend of Zelda feel really well. As you were describing, even that like the whole like, oh, you know, you learn about things you could do even though you could have done them the whole time. Like, you know, even if it's more like an old school Legend of Zelda game, the first thing that came to my mind is like the little stuff from like Breath of the Wild. Like you learn that you could have been like shield sliding down hills the entire time, like crazy stuff like that. And it's just like you were explaining that, and I was like, yeah, definitely the same vibe. I'm gonna have to give that one a try. Honestly, you said it's on Game Pass.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to give that one a try.
Definitely.
It's for those out there. It is coming to PlayStation and Switch, I think, later this year. So if you don't have an Xbox, you will have the opportunity to try Tunic, and I highly recommend it. It's on the hard side, but you can also kind of like you can master things. You can get good at it, and it makes it that much more satisfying, especially when you beat a hard boss. Oh my God, like it's so rewarding. It's so satisfying. And there's so many little puzzles in that game that when you figure it out, you're just like, oh, like it gives you this overwhelming sense of like endorphin rush, and just like it feels really good. I can't praise it enough. All right, I'm done talking.
All right. So I'll move on to my next pick. I want to make a disclaimer before I say anything about my picks 2 and 3, and that is that I picked them for vastly different reasons, and I don't really think one is better than the other.
Yeah.
I just think that they scratch 2 completely separate itches for me. But I'll start off with Kirby and the Forgotten Land, and the reason I picked this one is basically what Jake hit on before. He said something that was perfect, and that was like, it made me feel like I was 8 years old again, I think you said, Jake. And honestly, this was a completely similar feel for me. I've always kind of had like I guess like a spot for like, these like whimsical like Nintendo type games. I mean, I grew up on like the Mario, the Pokemon, a little bit of like the Zelda, not the old Zelda, but like Wind Waker, probably like the oldest one I grew up on. And I grew up on like the Kirby Superstar Ultra like remake thing. And so like all these like Nintendo characters, I have like a really soft spot for them. And Kirby and the Forgotten Land, I saw these trailers coming out and I was like, what the hell is this? Like, they're going crazy 3D like Mario Odyssey. This world that they're building is looking super weird. Actually, I'm going to shill. I wrote a Couch Soup article about the liminal space in the Kirby and the Forgotten Land game because I have to say the environment in that game was just absolutely wild. I loved like the post-apocalyptic theme and how they kind of like had like these cute whimsical characters and like this shelled out world. They had these all like, you know, new little Kirby forms, like, you know, little pencil Kirby, little hunter Kirby with the guns. And like, you know, it's not necessarily my personal game of the year or anything, but I enjoyed it so much. I was like, you know, out of games that came out this year, it's got to be in my top 3. That's that. So
nice. Like that was one of the games that I've been meaning to pick up, and I do want to try it. Especially like Kirby games have never been for me, but I've heard a lot of positive things about Forgotten Land. So I'm like, I think maybe I should give that one a go.
The weirdest thing about the game too is that most of the game is like super easy, like for kids, you know what I mean?
Yeah, typical Kirby fashion.
Then there's like one arena at the end of the game that'll just like kick your ass, just blow you out. I still haven't beat it. So yeah. But anyways, that's my piece on Kirby.
Okay, so my second pick, I chose Uncharted Legacy of Thieves Collection.
Sure.
Yes, yeah. I mean, I know it's kind of a, you know,
he's copping out right now. He's getting away on a technicality.
I didn't really play a whole lot of games this year because there just hasn't been anything that's really grasped my attention. But I know it's a remaster. But I'll be honest with you, even it's what Uncharted 4 and Legacy put together. If it was just Uncharted 4, it would still get my vote. Uncharted 4 to me is like a near perfect game. That is a game I can always go back to play time and time again. I mean, I love it. It had the little boost in graphics. I did the price point for it. I think it released at $40, I believe. I could be wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong.
40? I thought it was 50.
It was either 40 or 50. It wasn't full price.
I don't remember because I did the upgrade
right now.
But they had the upgrade, which I thought was real nice.
Yeah, I did the upgrade for the $10.
And then you got the movie ticket with it to see the film, if that was your thing.
I did it just for that, honestly.
I mean, like I said, Uncharted 4 to me, like, it's very near and dear to my heart. I will always love that game. And I don't know. I think it's pretty high up there. Like I said, there hasn't been that very many games I've played this year. Just nothing's really interested me. So it's kind of hard to choose. So
I'm going to jump in
kind of went
with a fact check for the viewers. And that is that it did launch at $50.
Was it 50?
Okay.
Yes, Stan was correct. There you go.
Yeah. My biggest issue with that collection was the fact that it had no multiplayer. And I know technically you can still play the multiplayer. You still play like the PS4 version, but it's like, why? Like they did that to us with the previous collection, with the Nathan Drake collection. You got 3 games,
the 1 through 3,
but no multiplayer.
Yeah.
And I'm like, but I would still be playing Uncharted 2's multiplayer if you gave it to me. Come on.
The multiplayer wasn't good.
I loved Uncharted 2's multiplayer. 3 was pretty good too, especially because 3 had the co-op mode. Those co-op levels were great.
I never played 3's co-op.
Yeah, you're missing out on that. And it's gone forever.
And it's gone. I can't.
Gone. Never again. They were like little like nugget-sized pieces of story adventure, but you played through them together with friends. Oh. So you would be like Nate, Sully, and either like Elena or just one of the crew, and it's like you had to fight your way from one end to the other, and it was kind of like a horde mode where you had to fight these waves of enemies, but it was a very structured cinematic experience. It wasn't just hunker down and kill things as they came at you.
So was it kind of like Halo's Spartan Ops? I think they had in Halo 4, I believe.
Possibly.
It almost
been a while since I've done that.
It almost reminds me of like, and this is I feel like this is a deeper cut, like Far Cry 3 had like a co-op mode that sounds a lot like what you're talking about.
I remember that. I remember Far Cry 3's co-op mode.
Yeah, reminds me.
I guess that's a fair comparison. It's just like the Uncharted 3 thing though. They were set pieces, like they were these really big bombastic set pieces.
Yeah.
And I remember there was one that like you were making your way through the village in Nepal from like Uncharted 2, and like a tank comes blasting through, and it was like the level in the game, but it was a separate thing that you played with people together, and you had to like get from point A to point B and get past the tank without getting blasted by it.
Gotcha.
Oh my God, it was so good. So yeah, it hurts my feelings that they didn't keep that intact for the new one,
That's a shame.
the re-release. I have many gripes when it comes to these Sony re-releases. Yeah. Anyways. So my final pick on this is kind of it's a new addition. It's something that I've been thinking about. I'm trying to decide on because under the guise of I haven't played a lot of new games, but in the last week, this is literally in the last week, myself and Brandy picked up this game on Steam called Dinkum. Yes, Dinkum. That's the name of the game. And we've been kind of obsessed with it. I easily put about maybe 15, 20 hours in this game in the few days since I've had it. And it's super addicting. It's in early access on Steam, so I don't know if that technically counts because it's not a full release yet, but it's a very full-fledged game. It's only $20, and it's the best way to describe this game is it's Animal Crossing meets Stardew Valley meets Minecraft. And it's a beautifully perfect blend of all three of those. If you're a fan of Animal Crossing, you're going to like Dinkum. If you're a fan of Stardew Valley, you're going to like Dinkum. And I want to put that in there because I feel like this game has a good chance of being like a smash success, kind of like out of nowhere. Kind of like Stardew Valley was when that first came out.
Right.
And I have Animal Crossing. I've played a bit of it. It doesn't click with me as much because it's really slow. It feels like you can't do much. You're kind of like limited to how much you can do per day. Whereas Dinkum on the other end does it the Stardew Valley way of you have a stamina meter. There's an in-game clock that you have so much time in your day to do so much, and you can go nuts collecting materials and building things. And I feel like I could sit here and talk all day about you get stuck in that cycle and that rhythm of like how you're gonna collect more resources so you can build certain items so that you can get money. And it does kind of rip off Animal Crossing in the way of like you're gonna go live on a desert island now, but guess what? You got to pay this debt to pay off your move-in costs, and then it's this continual cycle of like, okay, now you got to build a general store, but the general store costs X amount of dinks is what the money is called. So you got to pay off the dinks by selling the garbage that you pick up, just like in Animal Crossing. But it does it in a way that feels so much more satisfying than Animal Crossing does. And it's smoother and faster. I don't know. It's good. You should check it out.
Dan, I'm not gonna lie. You're scaring me a little bit because
Stop it.
if Ava's listening, if my girlfriend's listening,
don't let her know.
Don't let her know. Don't let her know because I will never get free time again. She'll be like, we're buying this game right now. We're playing this game right now.
Oh,
what'd you say? You said, what's up?
Dinkum has co-op.
Oh no.
Oh man.
And it works.
And there it is.
Well,
and there it is.
That's awesome.
And what'd you say it is? You said it's Minecraft, Stardew Valley, and what else?
Animal Crossing.
Animal Crossing. Yeah, those three are like her big three. It's like her triforce of gaming right there. So if she picks this up, I'm done for.
Yeah, it's fun.
So
and it's got
scared.
I want to. Now that I'm remembering this, I want to touch on this. It has co-op, and it works well. It's not dumb, which that's usually one of the biggest gripes of like when me and my girlfriend want to play a co-op game, and you're like, "Well, why is the co-op stupid though? Like it doesn't work or it doesn't make sense." So we've only done a little bit of co-op so far, where I joined her game. So I was on her island, and we were going around together. She's got all of her stuff, all of her things are there, and I was able to go in and just kind of do my own thing. And like, oh, do you need help with this? Okay, I'll help you with that. Or I'll go and I'll harvest this material. And anything I collected, I kept. I brought back with me. I brought it back to my own game.
Oh, you brought it back to your game?
Yeah.
Oh,
so
wow.
it gives me and
incentive.
you level up. You get experience points. Like the more you mine, you level up your mining. The more you farm, you level up your farming. The more you fish, it's like, and it all carries over. And that's usually my biggest gripe of game.
That sounds like the hugest part of that. Because Stardew, it sounds a lot like Stardew, but the whole thing with Stardew is all your stuff is localized to whatever world you're joining and all that.
Exactly.
But yeah, if you have the incentive to like bring your stuff over back to your place or whatever, that is pretty huge.
Yeah, and that was like with the first thing I tested too. As soon as I went into our game, I was like, "Oh, I have all my stuff." I came into our game with my stuff. Right. And I was like, do I keep stuff in your game though? I'm like, I don't want to start stealing all your crap, but there's like a local storage bin in like the starter base. And I'm like, I'm gonna put one random item in that I don't care about and see if it comes back with me into my game. So I stuck like
Right.
a shell in there, that I picked up off the beach, and then I left and went into my game, and that shell was in my box, and I was like, oh, and I had everything else that I took when I left her game.
Yeah, yeah.
So I was like, all right, this game is addicting as hell. Now I'll stop there because I know I can just talk forever on this.
You said it's
All
just
right.
on Steam at the moment?
Currently on Steam, I would be shocked if this game doesn't come to console in the near future, though. And it
Probably,
you can
I'm
it plays on
assuming
a
it's when it
controller.
comes out of
Like,
early access.
it plays really well on controller too.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm assuming you're right. It'll probably come to console after early access wraps.
Yeah,
Probably.
most likely.
So.
Yeah, and there's combat in the game. You get attacked by crocodiles and sharks. Oh my god, it's like Far Cry all over again. Okay,
All right.
I'm done.
All right, I'm cutting you off, Dan. You're done for. No more dinkum. All right.
Dinkum. I know it sounds dumb, but
Dinkelberg. Dinkelberg.
All right, I'm leaping into my last but not least pick for my top 3, and that is Neon White, which is a game that came out, I want to say, a month ago.
Yeah, it's fairly recently.
Yeah, very, very recent game. This is like my personal innovative pick, where it's like my personal like maybe number one. It scratches like a similar itch, kind of sorta, to like boomer shooters, which as we've talked about here before, we're super big on here. It's kind of like got a similar feel to that, but it's also got like a speed based element to it, where it's like a big.
It's kind of like a
momentum
momentum shooter, isn't it?
A little bit. So basically, the way these like levels work, right, is you have a timer. You have to get to the end of the level and kill all the enemies to get through the level. You know what I mean? And then you get like a medal based on your time, and you've got like bronze, silver, gold, platinum, right? And the medals you get like increase this rank, and that's how you like progress in the story. But the thing about the game is that the weapons you get, they don't like carry over through levels. There's like these cards, like they're called cards, but they're weapons, right? And they're like placed at points throughout the level. And when you pick them up, you get a small amount of ammo for a certain weapon, whatever weapon the card is, right? And you can fire off that ammo and you'll lose the card, or alternatively, you burn the card with some ammo left and you get like a movement ability. So there's like a pistol, right? Which is like obviously like the most basic card you find. And you could pop off like 12 shots with that. Or before you fire off your 12 shots, you right click and it does like this massive jump. And so it's like a weird like puzzler almost, where like you're speed running through these levels, you're going crazy, you're killing these enemies, but you have to like manage these cards you have so that you have the right movement abilities to make it through the level. And then obviously, there's a point where like when you're replaying the levels, or if you're a speedrunner and you're trying to go through it in one go, there's like a routing element to it. You know what I mean? Where like, in addition to like having these cards and like figuring out how you want to do things, there might be a more optimal way to use that movement ability to get around the map to the end and be like, maybe 5 seconds quicker, maybe 15 seconds quicker. And so the game just hits like this really weird, like combination of elements for me, where it's like, it almost sounds like it might not work. And for some people, it probably doesn't work, but for me, it just does. You know what I mean? And like, I'm not like big on like the anime stuff. Like, I like some anime. I'm not a big anime guy, but like the anime aesthetic for it kind of works for me. Like the characters are like kind of dorky. They've got some cringy dialogue, but like they have Steve Bloom as like Neon White, the main character.
So he's basically Spike.
No, literally, like the way the game story plays out, he's like perfectly cast because he's basically Spike Spiegel, and it's just great. Like, this kind of like, as you said, how you could go on and on and on about Dinkum. I feel like I could go on and on and on about this game. I haven't even beaten it. I've gotten to like there's a crazy story twist I got to. I still have to, hammer out the rest of the game, but it is good. It's batshit crazy. I feel like there's something for everyone a little bit, even though the game's super weird. it's just a crazy game. It's super cool. I would recommend giving it a try. It's like
I've definitely looked at it.
$20, but I'm not 100% sure. It's a really
It's been
good
on my
title.
radar for a little bit, and it was one of those things where I'm like, if that comes to Game Pass, I'm definitely gonna play it.
Oh, 100%. If it comes to Game Pass, get on that immediately. Definitely a good game.
Cool. Sweet. Okay, so my last pick, I'm just gonna round up. It's my list is just the nostalgia pick. I've realized
it's all nostalgia.
That's all it is. So my pick is Pokemon Legends Arceus.
Woo, Pokemon.
So this one was actually,
I honestly didn't even know you played Pokemon until I saw you put that on the list.
No, so this one was a big surprise because, to go off of that, I haven't really played a Pokemon game in over 10 plus years. Like the last great game that I played, I think
heard
it was Emerald
Arceus
on the Game Boy Advance.
Really good too. And
ever since I think like the DS came out, I couldn't get into any Pokemon games after that. I tried, I couldn't. So there was a lot of hype around this coming out, and it was supposed to be like the Zelda Breath of the Wild open world, and I'm like, it interests me, but I was a little not too sure how I felt about it, if I liked that, because like I love the top down view playing. I missed it. So ended up making I bought it at midnight release, and like I fell in love with it. It really shocked me. So I didn't think I would like the open world, but like the moment like I went into an open area and my favorite Pokemon is Machop, I saw like a valley of Machops, just
like a herd,
30 of them, just herd of it. I'm like, oh my god, where's my Pokeballs?
Was it like that scene in Jurassic Park when they like come over the hill and they see the field of dinosaurs and they're just like, oh.
Yeah. Like I was like starstruck. I was like, holy crap, I love this game. Like my biggest issue is like I haven't finished it yet. It's a great game. I just keep getting so sidetracked.
Yeah.
Like I always have to go and gather materials because I feel like I never have enough, even though I probably do. It's just every time I see like a tree to get materials for a Pokeball, I'm like, gotta go hit it. Oh look, I see one in the distance. Gotta go get it. No, I mean honestly, it's like I fell in love with it. It's something I really didn't think I was gonna love because like I haven't played it in like 10 plus years, a series. My only issue, it's not so much with the game itself, is with the next game that's coming out. I feel like that's coming out
November later this year.
Yeah,
Tyler might know because I know you're a big
I think it's
guy.
November. It's coming out.
I was checking them.
My issue is how close they released.
Yeah.
You have two games in the same year. I'm not
three
even
if you count the fact that it's the two like sides of the coin kind of thing that they do.
But overall, no, it's a very fun game. I hope to beat it in this lifetime.
Yeah. Yeah, but Pokemon games have always been a little rough for me, but
highly recommend it.
The fact that Legends looked like they were trying to Breath of the Wild-ify Pokemon, that definitely interested me. I was like, oh, that might work for me. I'm actually interested in that. Yeah. I've actually been visiting the Pokemon franchises again, and I'm looking at them, and I'm like, it's the time commitment that's always the biggest struggle, but we'll see. I've been told that like if I ever play a Pokemon game, I should play Legends.
And I think what's crazy. I will kind of like out myself here. I haven't played Legends. I've played like every other Pokemon game probably, or at least every other mainline Pokemon game. And I just have not played Legends. However, I did a lot of looking into Legends, and I am not surprised that you haven't beaten the game yet. Because I actually am impressed with how much they put into that game. I've found like the last couple Pokemon games a little bit lackluster, and Legends, like they have such like an incredible amount of detail in it. Like I'm just gonna throw it out there. The one thing that still impresses me, like it's such a tiny detail. There's like some side quest in the game where like and I'm sure like some people probably hate this, but the answer to the side quest, like the thing you have to do to complete the side quest, is in a book in Diamond and Pearl, which is like,
okay.
Yeah, because like Legends, so Legends Arceus is like the Hisui region that like the game takes place in is supposed to be like ancient Sinnoh, and Diamond and Pearl were the original Sinnoh games. And so like in the library in Diamond and Pearl, there's a book that has like an ancient legend in it. And in that book, there's like the answer to a side quest in Legends Arceus. And like they just have like weird like details like that all throughout the game. I just think it's impressive. I really like it.
It's crazy.
So
it's really deep.
So in order to beat a game, you got to play another game to figure out the answer.
I was looking at Diamond and Pearl because I've heard that those are like some of the better ones to play too.
They are the best ones.
If I ever have the time, because I don't. That's the problem too. That's why I have such a massive backlog, and I'm spending most of 2022 playing my backlog or playing old games.
Yeah, definitely.
And that's something I was going to get into. Like we've come full circle now. We've each given like our top picks of games this year, and that brought me to thinking how 2022 has been a year for my backlog, or at least just I've been visiting a lot of older games, and I've been playing like, especially since we did that Boomer Shooter episode a few weeks ago, and like I've been playing a lot of shooters lately. I've been going back and like I'm playing Call of Duty 2 for the first time. I've never played it before.
Like Call of Duty 2?
Call of Duty 2. 2.
Just 2.
2.
Like Big Red 1 and
original Call of Duty 2, the Xbox 360 game. I got through the first mission and got that big fat 50G achievement. I'm like, oh man, the old days of achievements, because they only put in like 10 achievements per game. Yeah, so I'm revisiting old games. I've been playing a lot of random old stuff this year.
Yeah, I feel you there. I just started Halo Combat Evolved.
Oh yeah,
Wow.
heck yeah, dude.
That's great.
If you could play through the Halo series, do it. Like, just do it. It's absolutely worth it.
Yeah, I talked about it last week a little bit. I was talking about playing Assassin's Creed Unity, and over the past week, like I've gone through and I've finished up a lot of DLC and side quests and stuff I didn't get to originally when the games came out, and ended up 100%ing. I think Assassin's Creed Unity now, Assassin's Creed Origins, and there was another one. Syndicate was another one.
Syndicate.
Currently, I'm working on Rogue, but I'm starting that one from scratch because I never played the remastered when it came out.
I haven't beaten an Assassin's Creed game since the final of the Ezio trilogy. Like that was
the Revelations.
I felt like I played a lot of Black Flag, but I never finished it. And the big open world games are so difficult for me to get through. It's just I get so lost and distracted and just like wandering all over the place.
Sidetracks. It's always the sidetracks.
Yeah, and that's why I haven't beaten Elden Ring yet either. It's the same problem.
That's my Pokemon problem right now.
But so before we close it out, the last things that we wanted to touch on were games of this year that we want to at least mention that are like, these are some of the bigger releases. We might not have been able to play them, as well as the games that are coming this year that might give Elden Ring a run for its money. So real quick, just want to fire off like Sifu. I actually reviewed that for Couch Soup, and I gave that an 8 out of 10 soup bowls, as we call them, or soups. 8 out of 10 soups. It was a good, fun game, but after I reviewed it, never went back to it. Like, it's a good game. I might maybe one day go back to it. I don't know. Horizon Forbidden West, that poor bastard's been collecting dust ever since I got Elden Ring, which is sad because I was really enjoying what I had played. It was a massive improvement over the first game. Ghostwire Tokyo is another game that I look forward to playing because I love Shinji Mikami. I'm kind of being an Xbox fanboy and waiting for the Xbox version that will inevitably come to Game Pass next year. Tiny Tina's Wonderland came out this year, and that's another, like, I love the Borderlands series. I'll probably like Wonderland. And of course, we got the Lego Star Wars game that was really good.
Where you could play as Max Rebo.
Right?
God bless.
You can play as Chewbacca or Darth Vader or pretty much any character wearing Christmas sweaters, like ugly Christmas sweaters.
That's amazing.
But yeah, so let's look at the list of upcoming games that I think. This is kind of like a personal pick. I mean, I threw Saints Row on there, and I'm like, nah, Saints Row isn't going to get. That's not going to win anyone's game of the year.
But it looks good.
But if you guys, one of you, do the honors for me and read off this list that I have of the contenders.
All right. So we got the list of contenders. Number 1 on top of the list is God of War Ragnarok. Number 2 is Bayonetta 3. After that, we have Splatoon 3.
Splatoon.
After that, we have Saints Row, which, as you heard here first, Jake said is going to be good. You could hold him to that one. After that, we have Overwatch 2. Following that, we have Gotham Knights. After that, we have Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, the new one.
The new Modern Warfare.
The new one.
Modern Warfare 2 2.
Yes.
Right.
The Modern Warfare 2 squared.
Super Modern Warfare 2.
After that, we have the Callisto Protocol. And last but not least, we have Hogwarts Legacy as the contenders for upcoming 2022 games.
Yes.
That might just pull it away, but probably not.
Yeah, so this is the main games that are coming out for the rest of this year that have a good shot at being like big, maybe 10s, maybe. That's what I'll call these, the maybe 10s. You know, they're most likely going to be 8s or 9s, but maybe a 10. So, Hogwarts Legacy, I hope doesn't get delayed because I'm excited for that game. But anyway,
I'm gonna be honest, like I haven't heard anything from that game. I forgot it existed up until this moment.
they put a fresh trailer out. Like they did a big gameplay deep dive a few months ago, but then it's been dark since then.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it had a release date for this fall, I think, like October, November. But
I'm gonna be honest with you, Dan. I have a
it's-
feeling that one's a 2023.
Yeah, I feel like it's gonna get pushed.
It might find its way into 2023. So
Yeah.
anyways, we gotta acknowledge the big fat, elephant in the room that is God of War. There's a lot of hype. There's a lot of expectations for God of War Ragnarok, and I'm sure it's going to be really hard for people to score that game less than a 10 when it comes out, unless there's something really wrong with it. But I kind of don't see that happening.
No. If any game is going to overtake Elden Ring, it's going to be God of War.
Yeah, it's probably the top contender, I think.
I largely agree. I will say, didn't play the first God of War. I watched a good chunk of it being played, so I don't really have a horse in the race. However, just like I don't have a horse in the race with Elden Ring, I know for a fact that is going to be a massive drop, and it definitely is going to be when award season comes up, it's going to be neck and neck between the two of them. I wonder if too, a little bit in the back of my head, if recency bias on God of War will affect things. I'm wondering when the actual awards drop, what's going to happen based on that.
Yeah.
But it is definitely going to be between the two of those, I'm thinking.
I can easily speak on recency bias because, man, was I salty when Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order got completely skipped over for the Game of the Year awards, or any awards for that matter, because it came out at the tail end of 2019.
Yeah.
And then because it came out at the end, it was late November, it missed the Game of the Year
deadline.
awards.
Yeah.
But then everyone forgot about it by the next year, so it got completely glazed over. And I'm like, that's one of the best games that came out in 2019. Come on. But yeah, I'm sure there's going to be so much regurgitating of just the obsessiveness over God of War Ragnarok when that comes out. And I don't know. I have no reason to expect it won't get a 10 unless, again, they do something really wrong. I have hopes for some of these other games on the list. I put Callisto Protocol on there because I'm personally really excited for Callisto Protocol. Regardless of what that game gets as a score, horror games never win Game of the Year. So
yeah,
I know that's a fantasy pipe dream. How about you, Guy? Do you have any personal hopes?
Personal hopes? It's I like the idea of Gotham Knights, but something is just telling me it's not.
I'm getting
what I think
warnings.
It's gonna be.
Yeah, I'm getting huge alarm bells.
When I heard
Gotham
the initial
Knights.
idea, it sounded great, but everything I've heard and seen since then.
Yes, it actually looked better before they showed more.
Yeah.
Is that how you feel too, a little bit, Jake?
Yeah. And the fact that they started off saying, it has nothing to do with the Arkham games. I was kind of wish it would.
Yeah.
But what is the other game that's coming out? I don't think it's coming out this year. I think it's
Suicide Squad.
The Suicide Squad game.
Right. Yeah.
That's connected to the Arkham series games.
Yeah.
But this one isn't, and I was like, This one seems like it would. But
And for me, I feel like as they show more the gameplay, it's like the feel of the game they're going for with that one, like or from what I perceived it to be, I guess, has like completely shifted. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And they showed off that they have like the gear system, and it's like I don't hate gear systems, but like not every game needs to have a gear system. This is not the type of game where I feel like I really want a gear system. You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
I don't know, like the whole like all the
Mhm.
characters have like abilities where they could jump and fly around and stuff. Like specialize out the characters. You know, it's 4 unique Batman side of the DC universe characters. I don't know. I'm just getting weird alarms with this one too. I feel you there.
Yeah, I've never been huge on DC characters or games, but I love the Batman Arkham Asylum game. I
Yeah.
liked City. I didn't play much of the other ones after that. I was very confused to hear like, oh, there's these separate spin-off games, and then like from what I've seen of recent gameplay with Gotham Knights, it looks like they're kind of mirroring the combat from the Batman games, sort of. But then am I forgetting? Is that a co-op game? Is it going to allow for like multiplayer, or is it just Suicide
It
Squad
is.
that's going to do that?
But it's
it
only
is
going to be
yeah,
two
it's only
players. I
two
think
players,
they said.
but you have 4 characters to choose from.
Yeah. No.
Yeah, so why
it's-
wouldn't it be
that's a-
like
that's a
See,
big-
four-player?
that
Yeah,
was
it's
another big alarm bell
flag.
that I had going off on that one. So
Yeah, you would think the go-to there would be like co-op 4-player campaign through the entire
exactly.
game.
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
So, like, I wanted
Yeah.
it to be well, but I don't think it's going to be as great.
I
as everybody thinks it
definitely,
will.
well, the last time I watched footage on Gotham Knights, I was very underwhelmed by the gameplay footage. Like it was something of like
Yeah.
there was one of God, I'm blanking on the characters' names. Nightwing.
Nightwing.
And
Yeah. Red Hood.
Red Hood. Okay, yeah, I was
Yeah.
watching the gameplay clips from them, and I'm like, this looks very dull and kind of boring.
Yeah.
It's not doing much for me. But anyways,
I definitely agree.
ah,
Here, I'm going to really quickly taper off that little negative, harsh rant, and I'm going to bring a slight bit of positivity. All right, because
Okay.
I'm going to talk about a game on here that actually has me slightly excited. And that's-
slightly.
yeah, believe it or not, I'm agreeing with Jake. Saints Row. I'm going to be honest with
yeah.
you. I was a big fan. I didn't really play much of 4, the one with the superheroes and shit. And I know this is like a
It's a
soft reboot.
masterpiece.
3 is great. 3 is fantastic. And I'm going to be
3's
honest,
good.
the look and feel of this game kind of reminds me of like 3 with like modern gaming technology. I know there's like a
does.
lot of people that are like pissed off about the game. You know, they're
Yeah, I
saying
don't
it's
understand
political,
that.
whatever. I don't give a shit about it. The game looks cool. The game looks like, I mean, like, you know, it's looking like you're going to blow things up. Like there's going to be the same wacky vibe to it. And that's all I need from a Saints Row game.
It just looks fun.
It
Yeah.
just like exactly.
Yeah,
There's really
and
not
that's
much
it.
more to say about it. Like, you know, there's some games where I could go off on a tangent. No, not on this one. The game just looks fun. Game looks good.
And then that's the thing that's sad. It's like, the Saints Row series, I think most people can agree, it peaked, I think, in the second installment. But it doesn't mean it's still not a bad game.
Most people cannot agree.
I think a lot of people agree second is the best.
Well,
And then
Third is the
start-
best, Jake. I disagree.
No, I know. Third is my favorite.
okay.
I said most people, everybody that I seem to talk to, 2 is probably still like the most closest to, I should say, not as crazy as the 3rd and 4th is.
So I wanted to make that comparison though, to be like crystal clear on that. Like Saints Row 1 and 2 were very much like Grand Theft Auto competitors.
Yeah,
Yes.
they
We're
were
trying to be
serious,
Grand Theft Auto.
and they realized they
And-
couldn't be GTA.
And 3 started
Yes.
tilting into
And then
that.
3
Let's
was
get a
like,
little
we're just gonna
crazy.
go out the
We're doing our
goddamn
own
window.
thing.
And
Yeah.
then 4, they're like, all right, let's crank that up to 11.
Literally. I will say this too, because like I played Saints Row 1 and or 2 ages ago, and I remember being like, oh, this is like Grand Theft Auto, but a little bit different. And I was like, okay, I kind of like it. It's not bad. I played a bit of them. And then I avoided Saints Row 3 thinking like, oh, this looks so stupid. It looks so ridiculous. Like that artwork, the cover art, it was like, oh, this is too much. This is too much. And then I played it because they added it to PlayStation Plus on the PS3 back in like 2013 or 14. And that intro,
Yes.
damn, did that sell me. I'm like, this is amazing. I love this. It's so stupid. I love it. It's so good. And I played
The
through that
music-
entire game. So good. I was a little disappointed with 4. I didn't like 4 as much. I thought the superpowers kind of broke the joy. But I did enjoy the 4th one too.
It was good. It was just too much.
Yeah. It was like
It was fun for like a few hours, and then after that, you're like, I've gotten the hang of this. I know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
But I agree that I have hopes for Saints Row. I'm hoping it's gonna be good. I look forward to that, especially if it's got solid online co-op. Like, let's go, boys.
Oh, 100%.
Let's go.
100%. Because that's like half the fun of the Saints Row stuff. You got the wacky stuff, and then you got your friends doing wacky shit with you. So, yeah, for sure.
Oh yeah. I don't have much thoughts on Call of Duty. Call of Duty is Call of Duty. I will probably play it. I usually end up buying those games, and I play the multiplayer a bit. This is me. I'm going back to Call of Duty 2, and I'm working my way through the campaigns because I haven't played a Call of Duty campaign, I think, since maybe Advanced Warfare, and I didn't beat that. That was the one with Troy Baker.
Yeah, that's when I stopped.
And I just stopped playing the campaigns, and that's why they stopped making campaigns. But I don't know. Modern Warfare 2, I'm sure it's going to be a big deal, but Call of Duty games, they don't win Game of the Year, so
no, they're not as big anymore.
I think that pretty much covers it.
Yeah, I would say so.
Any final thoughts, guys?
I think I'm good. I think I've covered everything I feel like I need to cover.
The only other thing I could see that would be maybe a close second underneath God of War would be Overwatch.
Overwatch could be big.
That's really. Do you guys think so? I think it's a controversial opinion.
I think the biggest downside of Overwatch 2 is the fact that it's going free to play. But then again, Fortnite, Fortnite's won a lot of stuff over the years, so
that's true.
That's my close second. I mean, I'm not a big Overwatch person, but that has got quite a big fan base behind it. Still pretty popular to this day.
If they can just not piss off people, because there's such a hate train for Blizzard right now.
100%. Yeah,
that's the problem.
But even then, I just don't know if it's doing enough to differentiate itself.
Yeah, it's probably going to adopt the same Fortnite model of monetizing, and then it's it's the same thing as Fortnite, but Overwatch now.
Yeah, cool. And it's just it's so similar to Overwatch 1 that I feel like a lot of people are scratching their heads and saying why. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and didn't they say that once Overwatch 2 comes out, Overwatch 1 is basically just gonna disappear. They're gonna phase Overwatch 1 into Overwatch 2, I think.
Something like that. They have a weird. It's I'm not 100% sure if that's what they said, but I know they have a weird scheme with it. I feel like they're overly complicating it a little bit. So
they kind of merging it, I guess.
Yeah, something like that.
Well, thank you guys for giving us your takes and your opinions on the personal picks. That's one of the things I was I want to talk personal picks, especially since we're not journalists or anything. We're not game professionals, so we don't get to sit here and play all the big games as they come out all year long. So even if I did, even still, Sifu, whatever, Horizon, can't really go into all of the big titles that have come out this year. But anyways, thank you guys so much for joining me, Tyler and Jake. I want to let everyone else out there, thank you for watching the show and listening. Please be sure to write us at theplayerpodcast@gmail.com or message the Twitter DMs and let us know what you think of the show. Suggestions, comments, concerns. I'm still looking for, feedback on everything and some of these changes we're making. Be on the lookout for the new show that's going to replace this show in the coming future. Please be excited. Thank you guys. I'm Dan Morris, and that's Game Over, folks. See you all next time. Bye-bye.
See ya.
Sayonara.